Well, hello. Monday. It's Magical Motivational Monday. That's right. Magical Motivational Monday. Come on in, everybody. Let's get going. Let's get our Monday on. Are you ready? Are you ready to have a great Monday? Are you ready to create the week of your dreams? Hey, you guys, let me just tell you something. We are a week away. A week away. Hi, Brenda, Sherry. I see Roberta. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Good to see everybody. So it's Monday, so that you know what that means. You get a hairdo. I'm all about the hair. Good grief. Let me just tell you something. Hair is a difficult thing. Look at everybody. Hot North Alabama. It's not hot here. It's not as cool as it's been, but it's not hot. Brenda, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. And come on in, everybody. We're going to bring it on Monday. That's right, Gail. You got it. Diane, good to see you, everybody. Sharing is caring. And when you share, you let me know you care. And I send books, by the way. I send books. And as a matter of fact, I've got somebody already picked out for today's book. And she has been sharing our videos, saying something really cool about, what we're doing here on Saving Dinner, especially about the sprint, changing our lives, doing all the things. Alicia says it's hot, hot, hot in Mississippi. That's okay. Come on in, you guys. Let's get some numbers in here. We get some numbers in here, and guess what? We give some books away. I love giving away books. Do you know how many books I have now to give away? It might surprise you, but if you're here on Mondays, you will find out. I've got some really good stuff to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about motivation and what we can do. Letha's saying it's 88 in Indiana. There's my friend Mo. Hey, Mo, how are you? Mo and I have been friends for almost 1,000 years. Yeah, it's that long. We have been friends forever. And one of my favorite people on earth. You know, your girlfriends, your little posse from high school. It's so interesting. You know, I graduated 40 plus years ago, you guys. It's been a while. And we all got together back in May. We had an event at my high school. And so we were all there together. And Mo is is the instigator, made it all happen. And we all got together at a girlfriend's beach house in Newport Beach. And I am telling you, it was like we had never been apart. All 18 of us. It was just amazing. There's Marla and Melissa. Good to see everybody. So, today is Monday Motivation. Monday motivation is important. I get asked this quite a bit. I see it in my groups. I see it in emails that come to me and even in private messages about in Facebook. And it's always the same kind of question when it comes to asking about motivation. So, motivation is something we have to look at, right? It is something that we need to cultivate within us. Motivation is not an outside source. Motivation is an inside source, and it's something that you create yourself. And when we sit around and we wait for motivation, we are sitting around waiting for a magical fairy to come and sprinkle fairy dust all over us. It's just not going to happen. So let's talk about motivation today. And I've got some ideas on what we can do in order to create our own internal motivation, because our own internal motivation is what's going to flip the switch. If you're waiting for an outside force to come in and just whoosh into your house and make it happen for you, it's akin to waiting for magical fairies with fairy dust. It won't happen. Somebody might say something that makes you spark. I hope so. That's one of my main goals here, is to help with that. But there's an inside job that needs to happen, and I'm going to help you to create that, okay? But first of all, this is the book that's going out today. And you know how this book was won? This book was won This is a great book, by the way. This is my all-time favorite saving dinner book. It's Saving Dinner the Low Carb Way. I wrote this for Marla way back in the day. I mean, I don't remember when it was published. Originally published in 2005, and this is when we originally published our book, Body Clutter. If you haven't read Body Clutter, you're missing it, because this is the book that started everything. This is the book that also is the seed for what's happening right now and all the things that we are doing. But the low carb book, all the recipes in here, I tested, I loved, and I did write this for Marla because we were on our low carb journey. And although, in the Body Clutter book, I recommend doing 5 small meals a day, I still recommend low carb. I'll give myself credit for that. The 5 small meals, no, I don't recommend that anymore. The science has proven itself out. That doesn't work. But anyway, I digress. I want to just say that Bobby is who won this book. Thank you, Bobby. There we go. Bobby, you know our Bobby. If you're in the sprint group, she'll dance for you, sisters. I swear. And you don't even have to throw money at her. She'll dance. And she's very motivated. She's made some great progress with the sprint, and she is an inspiration to everybody there. And I love people who take on things going on in their life, take on stuff like this and make it happen. And Bobby's one of those people. She hasn't just rolled over and allowed circumstances to take over her life. She's fought them every step of the way. She's experimented, she's seen what works, and she's seen what doesn't work, and she gets back on the horse. So that is, that's fantastic. That's what you want to do. And that's Bobby. So if you're in our sprint group, then you're going to see this. Next Monday, we start again. Go to savingdinner.com/sprint if you don't already have our plan. It's 17 pages telling you exactly how to get started. And you want to hear something? When you get started on this plan, you have the opportunity to clear the decks and start over. That's what it's about. Because sometimes we're in a place of just utter confusion. What do I do? I don't understand what's going on with me. And then we get something that works, and the sprint works. What we're looking at is getting rid of the inflammation, so the other things that you want in your life, the weight loss, the decrease in medications, working with your doctor. We've seen that repeatedly happen in the sprint group. All of the things that we want to happen in our life start with the beginning of an anti-inflammatory diet, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Just go to savingdinner.com/sprint. Now, if you've already in the sprint, we will start you all over again, and I'll make sure, that's a note to self, that we start the emails up. There's a 7-day sequence of emails with little videos that tell you exactly, what to do and how to do it. Sorry, there's a hair in my lips. And I don't mean I have a mustache. I mean, there was a hair from my head going over here into my lip. I don't like that. Had to go. So Bobby, I am so proud of you. And I am proud of everybody who takes on this challenge. It is free. Who takes on this challenge and gets on the program, gets on top of the program. Now, I have a new anti-inflammatory supplement called Infla Crusher. Infla Crusher is now back ordered in the shop. Thanks to you, we cleaned out everything that I had, and I had a good amount. Getting rid of inflammation is huge. You need a little boost, get Infla Crusher. It's curcumin on steroids. It has 7 times the bioavailability of anything out there, and that's the big key when you're looking at it. So it is on its way into the shop. If you want to get in line for it, then go order it. Okay, that's all I can tell you. Go order it. It's my favorite thing right now. Yay! Okay, there you go. Bobby. She's our queen. So Bobby, I'd put my tiara on for you, but alas, it's over here on the other side. Whatever. Okay, so cheers. Here's to Bobby. If you guys got a glass of hot milk, let's give her a little rousing applause and some cheers. So, when you ask me, Leanne, how do I get motivated? I just can't get motivated. Well, that is a common thing. That is a common misconception and a misbelief, if you will, of what motivation truly is. Motivation isn't a thing that just comes and lands on your house. Motivation isn't something that it's just it just comes. It doesn't creep up on you and suddenly you're motivated. Every once in a while you might have a clarifying moment or an epiphany or something that makes you open up your eyes, but that's not necessarily motivation. That's just an aha moment. Motivation is actual action. Motivation is something that spurs you from this place of aha into this place of actually doing. So when I think about motivation and I think about what is it that I want to have happen here, what is that is going to take me from this aha moment to actually doing something, to actually getting momentum on my side? Because momentum is a physics thing. Momentum pushes the ball down the hill. You've seen it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to get it so that it will start doing that, right? So how do we do that? How do we set up so that we can grab that motivation and make it work for us? And it's really simple. It's all about your environment. Now, this is a Fly Lady principle that I learned early on that saved my bacon. And believe me, I needed it at the time. I was a full-time freelance writer. This is back in the early 90s, or I mean in the early 2000s. I was a freelance writer. I was overwhelmed with homeschooling my two children. I also worked for a newspaper and did all kinds of articles for them, and I was traveling all over the state, doing all kinds of things. And it was hard because I was also not getting enough sleep. I was staying up till 1, 2, even 3 o'clock in the morning, and then getting up at 7 or earlier with my children to get things done. So it was a hard time. It wasn't easy. I was living in So you know what I did? I found out, everybody said, oh, you need to know about Fly Lady. And who's Fly Lady? No website, no nothing. But she did have a bulletin board. And this was before it was Yahoo. It was something like One Group or something like that. So I went over there and I just, this whole shine your sink stuff. What? Okay, I'll shine my sink. And now remember, my sink is an old farmhouse sink, the old ones, not the cool ones that they have these days, the old ones with the pits and everything. And I had below the sink, I had a little gingham curtain that I'd sewn horribly, but yet I'd sewn it because it was just, I didn't want to see all the plumbing and stuff. And I put, according to what I was taught, I put a bucket under there, or, a little pan, dish pan, and put all my dirty dishes in there. So I never had to look at dirty dishes sitting out everywhere. Isn't that great? Because I didn't have the dishwasher disposal, as Marla calls it. So that started something. And then I decided to start with the routines. So I started with the routines. And then I decluttered, and the rest of it. And I am still doing everything that I was doing all those years ago. And this was 20 years ago because I didn't meet Marla until 2001. But it was in 2000 that I started, and everything just worked. It just worked. And the motivation for that, I think is kind of, I'm going on a roundabout way to tell you this, but the motivation for that was I didn't want what I had anymore. Your motivation is, if you don't want what you have, then you need to change it up. And guess what? Here's this quote of the week. You can suffer the pain of change, or you can suffer remaining the way you are. I love contrast. I love contrast because when you can see one side and when you can see the other, that's when you see the needle move. That's when you realize, aha, this doesn't have to be. The aha needs to be followed by doing something. And you know what happens with the doing something? The motivation appears. Ta-da! There it is. It just goes in there. And it lights your whole heart on fire. Marla said you wanted to come give me a hug. I did. My email to her was, you have changed my life. I just want to come give you a hug. And that's how our conversation started. I ended up at her house to write an article for my newspaper. And that started our now 19-year friendship because we hit it off. I brought my kids. It was a freak snowstorm in the middle of April. Went up there and I was only supposed to be there for an hour. I just asked for an hour of her time so I could do the article. And I was there all day. And that's when it all began. And we have had a good time ever since. It's been like that. It's been really a blessing. But the motivation of what happened back then was all attached to my willingness to get out there and do one thing. I started with shining my sink. There's a good reason to follow a plan that has worked and worked and worked, and especially now has a 20-year history and a 20-year proven track record. You know, it's like when I tell you, I will research on your behalf. I will find out what works, and that's what you can guarantee. You can know without a shadow of a doubt. When I'm telling you something, I've got the research behind it. When I'm telling you about a supplement, there's the research behind it. When anything happens, there's research behind it. That's what this is. There's research behind her methodology and it works. And that is the beginning. And that is the part that brought in the motivational piece. It brought in the motivational piece because suddenly I was motivated. And from motivation to momentum, it's a short distance, you guys. It is not a long distance. And if you can harness that motivation, just a little bit, you don't need great gobs of it. You don't need a ton of it, just a little bit. You take that motivation in and you let motivation do its thing. And you let the momentum of that motivation start to carry the ball down the field. And it will roll down that field. Give it enough kicks, one little kick, and there it goes, 20 yards. Who knew how simple that would be? So you don't have to be constantly waiting on some magical moment. You can create it. You can create it. If you have an aha with yourself, when you have an aha and you realize that I can either suffer the pain of change or I can suffer remaining the way I was. I'm going to say this. There is not one thing on God's green earth that is worth anything if it doesn't require effort. Let's talk about falling in love. Falling in love, so easy. But if you do not work on keeping that love alive, if you do not work and do a little bit of suffering, giving yourself up for the other person, doing something that he or she wants to, or whatever it is, if you don't suffer just a little bit in that relationship, and I'm not talking about abuse or whatever, you know, you guys, you know me better enough, well enough to know that's not the case. But if you're not willing to give something up in order to move that love football down the field, you aren't going to have that love for very long, are you? If you're not willing to do something every single day to move your weight loss down the field, you're not going to enjoy that weight loss for very long. It's going to be a flash in the pan. It'll be gone before you know it. It requires your attention. Motivation requires your attention. Motivation is something that you get when I get motivated to go up and down my stairs because my alarm goes off, right? My alarm goes off. Otherwise, I'd be lost in space. I would be lost in space. You need to set up your environment to trigger something so that you can set yourself up to be motivated. So your bookends of your life, which is what I like to call our routines, and I go so far as to call them rituals because I find them that valued. I elevate the level of my routine to an absolute have to do. And I've told you this, I've changed my routine, added two special things in there. So while my coffee is brewing and while I'm emptying that dishwasher and racing against the brewing coffee, I also drink a whole glass of water, a whole 8 ounces of water to start off my hydration, and I do 1 4-minute workout. And even if that bing goes off for my coffee, I am on that 4-minute mission to get that done. My motivation for that is it starts my day off right. I don't have to be motivated. There are times when I think, I don't want to do it right now. How many times have you said that? I don't want to do that right now. But you do it anyway. And guess what happens when you do that? Oopsie, sorry. Guess what happens when you do that? You're motivated. You're motivated and you're proud of yourself, and you have just rewarded yourself for doing something you didn't want to do. And when you reward yourself for doing something that you don't want to do, ta-da, more motivation appears. That's the fairy dust. That's the fairy dust. You don't wait for it, you create it. So if you start a behavior like I started this behavior of drinking a full glass of water and by doing the 4-minute workout. That's a behavior. It's becoming a part of my routine, which means it's now a part of a habit. When you have a habit, you have something that is momentum, that adds to the momentum of the change that you're seeking, so that you're not locked in to just suffering. You understand that you don't have to suffer anymore, that you can change your patterns, you can change something in your life so that you no longer are dealing with a lack of motivation. You're dealing with instead a habit that has begot something else. And this is the pursuit of excellence, because then the world starts to open. You can see the opportunity now that you've got that down, now that that's part of your plan. Now that this motivation has a momentum going to it, you can add something else to it. You can add something else. That's not perfectionism, that's excellence. And you know what happens with that? Your life changes. And this is the big deal. This is the big, big deal. A diet is never going to do that for you. A lifestyle change is, and this is what we're trying to acquire, is a lifestyle change. This is why we do the sprint. The sprint is a corrective thing. The sprint is a thing to say, okay, this is what you did last time. What has happened since those 3 weeks that have passed by, or 4 weeks that have passed by since we did the last sprint? Has some stuff snuck in? All right, let's take it out. And that's not a condemning thing. That's just, this is where we are thing, right? So we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that anymore. All we need to do is go and say, I am clearing the decks. There you go. I am clearing the decks and I'm getting ready for the next thing. And your motivation is to get better and better each time. You're getting better and better every day. That is one of my affirmations that I have. I am getting better every day. That's one of the affirmations I have. Now, what does that mean? I'm getting better every day. It means I'm getting better at the things that I do. I'm getting better with my health. I'm getting better with my weight. I'm getting better with my optimism. I'm getting better with my whatever it is. You know, I could list 30 things probably. Probably you could too. But I'm getting better every single day. Isn't that so much fun? How much fun is that? I want to get better every day, don't you? Throw me some hearts if you want to get better every day. So your habits, if they're in your routines, are going to move the ball down the field. Easy. And you can schedule these things into your routines every day. If I didn't schedule that 4-minute workout in the morning when my coffee was brewing, I don't know when it would have gotten done. But it starts the day off, and I'm doing the same thing. After I'm done here with this Facebook Live, I will do another 4-minute. I do them 3 times a day, and I do it just before I cook dinner. And it's made a difference. I can feel the difference that it's made. I can feel the difference it's made in my body. Now, I am not an exercise guru at this point. I will be at some point because I'm going to graduate and go up. I want to make it better because I am getting better every single day. And so are you. So that's how it is. Put it on autopilot. Your motivation can be on autopilot just simply by doing the one thing. One thing. It's that simple. So today, I just want to invite you to keep that in mind, and keep in mind that your motivation comes from within. So if you're stuck sitting on the couch thinking, well, I'm not motivated, I can't do that, then start thinking about all of your sisters who've gotten up off of that couch and who are doing that one thing. Whatever it is that you need to do to move the ball down the field, to get into the sprint, to start over, to clear the decks, that's what you need to do. And if you're not in the sprint, go get it. It's free, for heaven's sakes. Go to savingdinner.com/sprint and get on it. We have an incredible group of women who will support you. They'll have your back. They'll encourage you and bring you right along. That doesn't absolve you from reading it and finding out exactly what it's about. Believe me, you know how I am. Somebody asked me, well, what's the difference with this? And I told them today, well, you can Google that. You can find that yourself, because that's what we are. We are powerful women, not pitiful. And that's how we roll. We find things out ourselves. We're empowered patients. We're empowered participants. And we take care of ourselves and we know what to do. Am I right? Yeah, you betcha. All right, girls. I'm down 11 pounds, I'm happy to say. But I've got some more to do. I got some more work to do. And I bet you do too. That's why I am doing the sprint again and getting ready. Now's the time to get ready. Go get your plan. savingdinner.com/sprint. If you're already in the sprint group, you don't need to go get it again. We're just going to crank up that machine and go. You know how it is. All right. Don't forget that Friday is Q&A. So if you have a question you want answered, go to support@savingdinner.com and send me an email. In the subject line, say for Leanne on Friday. That's it. And I will answer your question this Friday. Bobby, don't forget, I'm sending you a book. So you need to send me in an email to support@savingdinner.com so I can send you that book. I need your address, sister. And what else do we have to say? I believe that's it. I'm excited. Are you excited for this week? Enjoy it, because this week is the week where we're going to get some things done, because today we're motivated. Thanks, sisters. I will see you all at tea time today. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.